All truth passes through three stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as being self-evident. Just remember, once you're over the hill, you begin to pick up speed. After your death, you will be what you were before your birth. To live alone is the fate of all great souls. Each day is a little life, every waking and rising a little birth, every fresh morning a little youth, every going to rest and sleep a little death. A man can do what he wants, but not want what he wants. Money is human happiness in the abstract. He, then, who is no longer capable of enjoying human happiness in the concrete devotes himself utterly to money. The doctor sees all the weakness of mankind, the lawyer all the wickedness, the theologian all the stupidity. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom, for it is only when he is alone that he is really free. Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. The two enemies of human happiness are pain and boredom. Compassion is the basis of morality. The greatest of follies is to sacrifice health for any other kind of happiness. Change alone is eternal, perpetual, immortal. The first 40 years of life give us the text, the next 30 supply the commentary on it. Great men are like eagles, and build their nest on some lofty solitude. Every man takes the limits of his own field of vision for the limits of the world. Every parting gives a foretaste of death, every reunion a hint of the resurrection. Men are by nature merely indifferent to one another, but women are by nature enemies. Buying books would be a good thing if one could also buy the time to read them in, but as a rule, the purchase of books is mistaken for the appropriation of their contents. Politeness is to human nature what warmth is to wax. Treat a work of art like a prince. Let it speak to you first. It is a clear gain to sacrifice pleasure in order to avoid pain. Willpower is to the mind like a strong blind man who carries on his shoulders a lame man who can see. Religion is the masterpiece of the art of animal training, for it trains people as to how they shall think. The more unintelligent a man is, the less mysterious existence seems to him. Every person takes the limits of their own field of vision for the limits of the world. Boredom is just the reverse side of fascination. Both depend on being outside rather than inside a situation, and one leads to the other. I've never known any trouble that an hour's reading didn't assuage. They tell us that suicide is the greatest piece of cowardice. That suicide is wrong, when it is quite obvious that there is nothing in the world to which every man has a more unassailable title than to his own life and person. Almost all of our sorrows spring out of our relations with other people. Wealth is like seawater. The more we drink, the thirstier we become, and the same is true of fame. Satisfaction consists in freedom from pain, which is the positive element of life. We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people. Journalists are like dogs. Whenever anything moves, they begin to bark. The discovery of truth is prevented more effectively, not by the false appearance things present and which mislead into error, not directly by weakness of the reasoning powers, but by preconceived opinion, by prejudice. Friends and acquaintances are the surest passport to fortune. Sleep is the interest we have to pay on the capital which is called in at death, and the higher the rate of interest and the more regularly it is paid, the further the date of redemption is postponed. Hatred is an affair of the heart, contempt that of the head. With people of limited ability, modesty is merely honesty. But with those who possess great talent, it is hypocrisy. There is no doubt that life is given us, not to be enjoyed, but to be overcome, to be got over. The wise have always said the same things, and fools, for the majority, have always done just the opposite. In our monogamous part of the world, to marry means to have one's rights and double one's duties. Nature shows that with the growth of intelligence comes increased capacity for pain, and it is only with the highest degree of intelligence that suffering reaches its supreme point. Music is the melody whose text is the world. Reading is equivalent to thinking with someone else's head instead of with one's own. Opinion is like a pendulum and obeys the same law. If it goes past the center of gravity on one side, it must go a like distance on the other, and it is only after a certain time that it finds the true point at which it can remain at rest. Honor means that a man is not exceptional, fame, that he is. Fame is something which must be won, honor, only something which must not be lost. Patriotism, when it wants to make itself felt in the domain of learning, is a dirty fellow who should be thrown out of doors. Rascals are always sociable, more's the pity. And the chief sign that a man has any nobility in his character is the little pleasure he takes in others' company. The longer a man's fame is likely to last, the longer it will be in coming. Every possession and every happiness is but lent by chance for an uncertain time, and may therefore be demanded back the next hour. Wicked thoughts and worthless efforts gradually set their mark on the face, especially the eyes. The fundament upon which all our knowledge and learning rests is the inexplicable. It is with trifles, and when he is off guard, that a man best reveals his character. If you want to know your true opinion of someone, watch the effect produced in you by the first sight of a letter from him. Martyrdom is the only way a man can become famous without ability. A man's face, as a rule, says more and more interesting things than his mouth, for it is a compendium of everything his mouth will ever say, in that it is the monogram of all this man's thoughts and aspirations. In action, a great heart is the chief qualification. In work, a great head. The brain may be regarded as a kind of parasite of the organism, a pensioner, as it were, who dwells with the body.